That beat-up blue Chevy Nova rattling through Beverly Hills wasn't just a prop. It was a calculated middle finger to Hollywood excess that almost got Eddie Murphy arrested for real. What started as a $1,500 junkyard find became one of cinema's most recognizable vehicles, sparking police investigations and inspiring a generation of gearheads. The secrets behind Axel Foley's ride will completely shatter everything you thought you knew about this legendary underdog machine. Number 20. The production team bought the Nova for only $1,500 from a Detroit junkyard.
Chase my dreams through the polluted air, walking on a wire.
Here's something that'll blow your mind right out the gate. Director Martin Brest sent his transportation coordinator to Detroit with explicit instructions to find the most authentically beat-up car that still runs, resulting in the discovery of a 1970 Chevy Nova sitting in a Roosevelt Park salvage yard for just $1,500. The car had been abandoned there for 8 months after its previous owner defaulted on repair costs, leaving it with faded blue paint, rusted chrome, and a sagging front bumper. Brest personally inspected the vehicle and immediately approved the purchase, declaring it perfect because it looked like something a Detroit cop would actually drive. The production accountants questioned why they were spending money on such a wreck when they could rent a newer vehicle. But Brest refused, insisting the authenticity was worth every penny. Transportation Chief Dennis McCarthy performed minimal mechanical repairs, replacing only the brake lines and alternator, while deliberately preserving every dent, scratch, and paint chip. The studio executives visiting the Detroit location thought someone had accidentally parked their personal car on set. Number 19. Eddie Murphy, personally selected. The Nova's interior condition and refused any cleaning.
You know, this is the cleanest and nicest police car I've ever been in.
Moving on to something even crazier. Eddie Murphy took one look at the Nova's grimy interior during pre-production and explicitly told the prop department not to touch anything, insisting the stained seats and dirty dashboard were exactly what Axel would drive. The car's original vinyl seats had cigarette burns, coffee stains, and torn upholstery from years of neglect, which Murphy felt perfectly captured a working-class Detroit cop's reality. Production designer Angelo Graham suggested at least vacuuming the interior, but Murphy personally vetoed the idea, arguing that any cleaning would destroy the car's authenticity. During filming, Murphy added his own touches, including a Detroit Tigers air freshener and scattered fast food wrappers in the back seat. The continuity supervisor documented every piece of trash and stain to maintain consistency across shooting days. Murphy's commitment to authenticity extended to refusing any seat covers or comfort modifications during the long shooting schedule, even though he spent hours sitting in the vehicle. Co-star Judge Reinhold later admitted in interviews that getting into the Nova felt like stepping into a real cop car, not a Hollywood prop, which helped sell the fish out of water contrast between Detroit and Beverly Hills. Number 18. The Nova had 3 identical stunt doubles that cost more than the hero car. And get this, while the Hero Nova cost $1,500, the production spent over $18,000 creating 3 identical stunt doubles for dangerous driving sequences, insurance purposes, and backup coverage. Transportation coordinator Dennis McCarthy purchased 3 additional 1970 Novas from various Michigan junkyards and meticulously matched every dent, scratch, and rust spot using photographs and paint samples. The stunt team weathered the backup cars artificially using sanders, hammers, and strategic rust application to replicate years of natural deterioration. Each duplicate required precise color matching because the hero car's faded blue paint had aged unpredictably, forcing the paint department to create custom mixing formulas. 2 of the stunt Novas received upgraded suspension and braking systems for high-speed chase sequences, while the third remained mechanically stock for close-up driving shots. Director Martin Brest obsessed over continuity, personally inspecting each duplicate before approving it for filming. The insurance company demanded these backups after learning the hero car's actual mechanical condition, refusing coverage unless redundancy existed. Ironically, the combined cost of all 4 vehicles still totaled less than 1 week's rental fee for a period-correct luxury car, vindicating Brest's budget-conscious decision. Number 17, Beverly Hills. Police stopped filming multiple times because they thought the Nova was actually stolen. But here's the kicker that nobody talks about. During location shooting in Beverly Hills, local police stopped production crews at least 7 different times because the Nova looked so authentically terrible that officers assumed it was either stolen or abandoned illegally. The Beverly Hills Police Department received multiple calls from concerned citizens reporting a suspicious vehicle cruising wealthy neighborhoods, forcing production to coordinate with local law enforcement before each shooting day. One memorable incident occurred on Rodeo Drive when 2 patrol officers pulled over the hero Nova during a take, refusing to believe the transportation coordinator's explanation until Director Martin Brest personally intervened. The contrast between the beat-up Nova and Beverly Hills' usual exotic car collection was so jarring that security guards at luxury hotels repeatedly blocked the vehicle from parking areas. Production assistant Gary Dagler spent an entire day driving ahead of the Nova with permit paperwork, pre-warning businesses and residents about the filming schedule. The irony wasn't lost on the cast and crew that a movie about a Detroit cop being hassled in Beverly Hills was experiencing the exact same treatment during production. This real-world friction actually enhanced the film's themes, as Eddie Murphy incorporated genuine reactions from actual Beverly Hills residents into his performance. Number 16, the Nova's engine was secretly a high-performance 307 Phi 8 disguised to look stock. And speaking of secrets, here's something that'll shock gearheads everywhere. While the Nova appeared to be a tired, wheezing economy car, the transportation department secretly installed a rebuilt 307 cubic inch V8 engine, producing 275 horsepower for reliability during the demanding 3-month shooting schedule. The original engine had been a straight 6 that barely ran, completely inadequate for the repeated takes and continuous operation required by production. Chief Mechanic Dennis McCarthy performed the engine swap in just 4 days, carefully preserving the stock air cleaner and valve covers to maintain the vehicle's worn appearance. The upgraded power plant allowed the Nova to keep pace with modern traffic on Los Angeles freeways without constantly overheating or breaking down between takes. Murphy never knew about the engine swap until years later, assuming the car's reliable performance was simply good maintenance. The sound department recorded authentic struggling engine noises from an actual tired 6-cylinder Nova and dubbed them over footage to maintain the illusion of a barely running vehicle. This deception was so successful that automotive journalists reviewing the film praised the authenticity of the underpowered car struggling up hills, never suspecting the truth. Only after the film's release did McCarthy reveal the modification in trade publications, shocking enthusiasts who'd assumed everything was original. Number 15. The Nova's exhaust system was modified to produce the distinctive rattling sound heard throughout the film. Moving on to audio wizardry that fooled millions of viewers. The sound design team deliberately created a custom exhaust system with strategic holes and loose baffles to produce that signature rattling noise every time Axel accelerated, making the Nova sound perpetually on the verge of falling apart. Sound supervisor Bill Varney spent 3 days experimenting with different exhaust configurations, testing each setup while recording from multiple microphone positions to capture the perfect dying car audio signature. The final system featured intentionally damaged mufflers with internal components loosened just enough to create metallic rattling without actually affecting engine performance or violating California emissions standards. This modified exhaust became so iconic, that test audiences specifically mentioned the car's sound in focus groups, with several viewers commenting it made them nervous the Nova wouldn't make it to the end of the film. Varney mixed these authentic exhausts, recordings with subtle mechanical clanking sounds from other sources, layering the audio to suggest imminent mechanical failure. The sound became synonymous with Axel's fish out of water status, a constant auditory reminder that he didn't belong in pristine Beverly Hills. Contemporary films with beat-up car characters still reference this sound design approach, proving its lasting influence on Hollywood's audio engineering practices. Number 14, the Hero Nova survived production and was sold at auction for $87,000 in 2015.
Chase my dreams through the polluted air.
And get this bombshell. Despite enduring 3 months of intensive filming and hundreds of takes, the original Hero Nova survived completely intact and was eventually sold at a Barrett-Jackson auction in Scottsdale for $87,000, representing a 5,800% return on Paramount's initial $1,500 investment. The car remained in studio storage for 11 years after filming Wrapped, occasionally appearing at promotional events and studio tours before being acquired by private collector Michael Deezer in 1995. Deezer restored the mechanical systems while carefully preserving every screen-used dent, scratch, and paint flaw, understanding that the vehicle's value derived entirely from its authentic film-used condition. Authentication documents from Paramount's transportation department accompanied the sale, including original purchase receipts, maintenance logs, and photographs proving the car's provenance. The winning bidder was a Beverly Hills Cop superfan who'd been searching for the Hero car for over a decade after learning it still existed. Automotive historians noted the irony that a car purchased as disposable became worth more than most of the luxury vehicles it drove past during filming. The sale established precedent for valuing authentically weathered movie cars, proving that preserved film use condition commands premium prices over restored perfection. Number 13, Eddie Murphy kept the Detroit Tigers' air freshener as a personal memento. After filming Wrapped,
with minimal disturbance to the shop.
But here's something touching that reveals Murphy's connection to the character. After principal photography concluded, Murphy personally asked director Martin Brest if he could keep the Detroit Tigers air freshener that hung from the Nova's rearview mirror throughout filming, making it one of the only props he retained from the production. Murphy had purchased that specific air freshener himself from a Detroit gas station during location shooting, insisting it was essential to Axel's character, even though it never appeared in close-up shots. The prop department cataloged the air freshener as actor provided in their inventory records, documenting Murphy's personal contribution to his character's authentic Detroit identity. In subsequent interviews spanning 3 decades, Murphy mentioned that air freshener multiple times, calling it his connection to Axel and displaying it in his home office alongside other career memorabilia. The Tigers logo represented more than just Detroit sports fandom. It symbolized working-class authenticity that contrasted perfectly with Beverly Hills excess. Co-star Judge Reinhold revealed that Murphy would touch the air freshener before difficult takes, treating it as a talisman connecting him to Axel's mindset. This small detail demonstrates how actors create emotional anchors using seemingly insignificant props, transforming disposable set dressing into meaningful performance tools that endure long after filming ends. Number 12, the Nova's license plate changed 3 times during production due to continuity errors.
Some kind of construction.
It's an acquired taste. Is it taking it?
And speaking of details, here's a continuity nightmare that still drives film students crazy. The Nova's Michigan license plate visibly changed at least 3 times throughout the finished film due to prop department errors, shooting schedule chaos, and last-minute reshoots that occurred months after principal photography wrapped. Sharp-eyed viewers noticed the plate reads, Dent 00 in Detroit scenes switches to 567 LMK during the initial Beverly Hills arrival, then mysteriously becomes Nova 44 in later sequences before reverting to the original. Script supervisor May Whale documented these inconsistencies in her notes, warning editors that the plate changes were noticeable. But post-production supervisor Jerry Bruckheimer decided audiences wouldn't care about minor continuity details. The first plate was the Nova's actual Michigan registration from the junkyard purchase, which transportation coordinator Dennis McCarthy initially kept for authenticity. However, legal concerns about displaying a real plate number forced the prop department to create fictional replacements during pickup shots. The third plate appeared during reshoots filmed 4 months after principal photography, when the original prop plates couldn't be located in storage. Despite these errors making it into the theatrical release, test audiences never mentioned the changing plates in feedback forms, validating Bruckheimer's decision to prioritize storytelling over perfect continuity. Number 11, the famous banana in the tailpipe scene required 7 takes because the fruit kept breaking.
I need a couple of bananas. How much are they?
Well, the buffet plate is $12.50.
But here's the kicker that nobody talks about. The iconic banana in the tailpipe scene that became one of cinema's most memorable pranks required 7 complete takes because real bananas kept breaking apart from the exhaust heat before actors could complete their dialogue, forcing the prop department to engineer a heat-resistant artificial banana. Special effects coordinator John Fraser initially tried using slightly underripe bananas, thinking firmer fruit would withstand the heat better. But even these disintegrated within 90 seconds of engine operation. After wasting an entire morning on failed takes, Fraser fabricated a silicone banana with an internal aluminum armature that could survive sustained exhaust temperatures exceeding 300 degrees Fahrenheit. This artificial banana looked so realistic that Eddie Murphy initially didn't realize it wasn't real fruit during the successful take. The prop department created 6 identical backup bananas, expecting multiple failures, but the silicone version proved so durable it survived all remaining takes without damage. Judge Reinhold later joked that more engineering went into the fake banana than into repairing the actual Nova. The scene's authenticity came from Murphy's improvised dialogue and genuine reactions, not from using real fruit, proving that strategic fakery often creates more believable results than struggling with authentic materials. Number 10. Chevrolet executives demanded the Nova be removed from the film because it made their product look unreliable.
Can you put this in a good spot? All this shit happened last time I parked here. Thank you.
Moving on to corporate drama that almost changed cinema history. Chevrolet's marketing department sent multiple cease and desist letters to Paramount Pictures, demanding the Nova be removed or replaced because they believed the beat-up vehicle portrayed their brand negatively and would discourage potential buyers from purchasing Chevrolet products. General Motors executives argued that depicting a 1970 Nova as unreliable and decrepit damaged the entire Chevrolet lineup's reputation, potentially costing millions in lost sales from negative brand association. Paramount's legal team responded by pointing out the production owned the vehicle outright and wasn't using any Chevrolet trademarks beyond the naturally visible badging on a legitimately purchased car. Director Martin Brest refused to compromise, telling studio executives that removing the Nova would destroy the film's entire thematic foundation about class contrast and authenticity versus superficiality. The standoff escalated to Paramount's president, who sided with Brest and told Chevrolet their legal threats had no merit under fair use doctrine. Ironically, after the film's massive success, automotive historians noted that 1970 Novas experienced increased collector interest and rising values, suggesting the exposure actually helped, rather than hurt Chevrolet's legacy vehicle market. This corporate battle established important precedent for filmmakers' rights to depict products authentically without manufacturer approval. Number 9, the stunt team built a roll cage inside the Nova that's completely invisible in every single shot.
Supposed to pick me up.
goddamn airport was out of
And get this engineering marvel, safety regulations required installing a full NASCAR specification roll cage inside the Hero Nova for high-speed sequences. But stunt coordinator Buddy Joe Hooker designed the cage to be completely invisible from every camera angle used in the film. The custom fabricated chromoly steel structure featured strategically positioned bars that aligned perfectly with the Nova's door frames, roof pillars, and seat structures, essentially hiding within the car's existing architecture. Hooker spent 2 weeks mapping camera positions and working with cinematographer Bruce Surtees to ensure no angle would reveal the safety equipment, even during wide interior shots. The roll cage added 187 pounds to the vehicle's weight, requiring suspension adjustments to maintain the proper ride height and handling characteristics visible in earlier footage. This invisible safety system cost $11,000 to design and install, representing more than 7 times the car's purchase price, but was essential for insurance approval on dangerous driving sequences. Modern film students studying the movie's interior shots still can't identify the roll cage's presence without being told where to look. The craftsmanship demonstrated how professional stunt coordinators prioritize safety without compromising visual authenticity, setting standards still followed in contemporary action filmmaking. Number 8. Eddie Murphy insisted on doing most of his own driving, despite studio insurance objections.
Yeah, 'cause girls is players too. Keep it playing, baby. I can't sit here while I go nowhere.
But here's something that'll surprise you. Eddie Murphy fought with Paramount's insurance company for 3 weeks to perform his own driving in the Nova, rather than using a stunt double, arguing that audiences would recognize if someone else was behind the wheel during close-up driving shots. The insurance carrier initially refused to cover Murphy, driving at speeds exceeding 25 miles per hour, citing his lack of professional driving experience and the potential production delays if he were injured. Murphy countered by taking an intensive weekend stunt driving course with Buddy Joe Hooker, learning precision vehicle control, emergency braking techniques, and how to safely execute the film's required maneuvers. After demonstrating his newfound skills on a closed course, the insurance company reluctantly approved Murphy for supervised driving up to 45 miles per hour, with a stunt coordinator riding in the passenger seat. This compromise allowed Murphy to perform approximately 70% of Axel's driving scenes personally, with stunt driver Alan Alini handling only the most dangerous high-speed sequences and close proximity work with other vehicles. Murphy's dedication to authenticity paid off in the final film, where viewers can genuinely see him controlling the Nova during most dialogue-heavy driving scenes, enhancing the character's credibility and connection with audiences. Number 7. The Nova's distinctive faded blue paint was achieved using a secret 3-stage weathering process. And speaking of visual authenticity, here's craftsmanship that fooled industry professionals. The Nova's perfectly weathered faded blue paint wasn't naturally aged, but rather the result of a proprietary 3-stage chemical weathering process developed specifically for this production by paint specialist Dean Jeffries. Jeffries started with fresh royal blue, automotive paint applied over the Nova's original faded surface, then used a combination of diluted muriatic acid, ultraviolet exposure lamps, and abrasive compounds to artificially age the finish. The process required constant monitoring because too much weathering would remove paint down to bare metal, while insufficient aging would look obviously artificial under film lighting conditions. Jeffries spent 5 days perfecting the technique on test panels before applying it to the actual hero car, photographing each stage to ensure the stunt doubles could be matched identically. The weathered surface had to withstand washing between shooting days without losing its authentic aged appearance, requiring a protective clear coat that wouldn't add any visible sheen or alter the matte finish. Automotive restoration experts examining the car years later initially believed the paint was genuinely decades old, testament to Jeffries' skill at replicating natural deterioration. This weathering technique became industry standard for aging vehicles in period films, proving that controlled artificial aging produces more consistent results than hunting for naturally weathered examples. Number 6. The production team discovered the Nova had been a drag racing car with a mysterious past.
Ooh, 1970 Chevy Nova SS.
But here's the kicker that adds intrigue to the backstory. When Transportation Coordinator Dennis McCarthy began inspecting the Nova after purchase, he discovered evidence suggesting the car had been extensively modified for amateur drag racing before being abandoned, including welded reinforcement plates, a modified rear axle housing, and unexplained holes in the firewall. McCarthy found remnants of a previously removed roll bar, indicating someone had invested significant money building the Nova for quarter-mile competition before financial problems or mechanical failure forced them to give up the project. Traces of racing numbers were visible under layers of primer on the doors, suggesting the car competed at local Michigan drag strips during the mid to late 1970s. The Transportation Department briefly considered researching the car's racing history, but decided the mysterious past added to its authentic working-class character, so they deliberately preserved these modifications instead of removing them. Eddie Murphy loved learning about Nova's possible drag racing background, incorporating the idea that Axel might have street raced the car into his character development even though racing was never mentioned in the script. The unexplained modifications created an unspoken backstory suggesting financial struggles and abandoned dreams that perfectly paralleled Axel's working-class Detroit origins and determination to succeed against all odds. Number 5. The Nova appears in Beverly Hills Cop 2 for only 43 seconds. Despite being iconic, moving on to a sequel betrayal that shocked fans. Despite the Nova becoming one of cinema's most recognizable vehicles after the first film's success, it appears in Beverly Hills Cop 2 for only 43 seconds total screen time, before being unceremoniously written out of the story. Director Tony Scott made the controversial decision to replace Axel's beloved Nova with a Ferrari provided by a wealthy friend, arguing that the character's success warranted an upgrade that reflected his growth and Beverly Hills' acceptance. Test audiences reacted negatively to the Nova's absence, with focus groups specifically mentioning they missed seeing the beat-up car contrasting with luxury vehicles, but Scott refused to add additional Nova scenes. Eddie Murphy reportedly argued against this decision, believing the Nova was essential to Axel's working-class identity, and that upgrading to a Ferrari betrayed the character's fundamental authenticity. The brief Nova cameo occurs during the opening Detroit sequence, where Axel drives it to the airport before flying to Los Angeles, effectively parking the car permanently in Detroit. Automotive journalists noted the irony that replacing the affordable, relatable Nova with an exotic Ferrari perfectly symbolized Hollywood's tendency to sacrifice authenticity for perceived glamour. The decision remains controversial among fans, with many considering it a significant misstep that weakened the sequel's connection to the original's themes. Number 4. One of the stunt. Nova's was accidentally destroyed during an off-camera transportation accident. And get this tragedy. One of the 3 stunt duplicate Novas was completely destroyed, not during filming, but during a routine transportation accident, when a grip truck driver lost control on Rain, slicked Pacific Coast Highway, and rear-ended the trailer carrying the vehicle to location. The impact crushed the Nova's entire rear quarter, buckled the frame, and rendered it mechanically irreparable, despite Transportation Coordinator Dennis McCarthy's desperate attempts to salvage the vehicle. The accident occurred at 4:30 in the morning, while transporting equipment for a 6 o'clock sunrise shoot, forcing production to scramble and substitute the hero car for planned stunt work that day. Insurance covered the vehicle's declared value of $6,000, but replacing it would require weeks of weathering and matching work that the tight shooting schedule couldn't accommodate. McCarthy cannibalized usable parts from the destroyed Nova, including the windshield, seats, and some trim pieces, to maintain the remaining vehicles throughout production. Director Martin Brest was furious about losing a backup vehicle, implementing stricter transportation protocols that required professional car haulers rather than allowing grip truck drivers to transport picture vehicles. The destroyed Nova's Hulk sat in a studio salvage yard for 8 months before being sold for scrap, its brief existence as a movie car ending ignominiously in a recycling facility. Number 3. The Nova's steering wheel was replaced with a modern power steering unit that Eddie Murphy specifically requested. But here's something that reveals Murphy's commitment to performance comfort. The original 1970 Nova featured manual steering that required significant physical effort during extended takes, prompting Murphy to personally request a modern power steering conversion. After the first week of filming left his arms exhausted, Transportation Chief Dennis McCarthy initially resisted the modification, worried it would alter the car's authentic driving characteristics visible on camera. But Murphy demonstrated that the heavy steering was affecting his dialogue delivery during driving scenes. McCarthy sourced a power steering rack from a 1982 Chevrolet Citation and adapted it to fit the Nova's original steering column, preserving the classic steering wheel and column appearance while adding modern hydraulic assist. The conversion required custom fabrication of mounting brackets and routing hydraulic lines through the engine bay without visible modification from any camera angle used in production. Murphy noticed the improvement immediately, reporting that the lighter steering allowed him to focus on performance, rather than physically wrestling the vehicle during takes. Co-stars riding in the Nova never realized the steering had been modernized, assuming Murphy's effortless, one-handed driving was simply good technique. This hidden modification demonstrated how productions balance authenticity with practical performer needs, making compromises invisible to audiences while significantly improving working conditions. Number 2. The Hero Nova still runs and drives. Despite being 40 years old and was recently spotted at a private collection, and speaking of longevity, here's something current that'll blow your mind. The original Hero Nova remains fully operational and street legal 40 years after filming, currently residing in a private Florida collection, where it's occasionally driven to automotive events and film memorabilia exhibitions. Current owner Richard Rawlings purchased the vehicle at that 2015 auction and invested over $30,000 in mechanical restoration, while religiously preserving every screen-used cosmetic detail exactly as it appeared in the film. The car received a complete brake system overhaul, new fuel system components, modern radial tires matching the original size, and a rebuilt transmission. But Rawlings refused to repair any body damage or refresh the weathered paint. Automotive journalists who've driven the restored Nova report it handles surprisingly well for a 45-year-old vehicle, with the upgraded engine providing adequate power for modern traffic conditions. Rawlings occasionally loans the Nova to film museums and Hollywood memorabilia exhibitions, where it consistently draws larger crowds than exotic supercars displayed alongside it. The vehicle's continued operation proves that well-maintained classic cars can survive intensive film production and remain functional decades later. Insurance appraisers now value the Hero Nova at over $150,000, reflecting both its cultural significance and remarkable preservation, making it worth 100 times its original purchase price. Number 1. Eddie Murphy tried to purchase the Nova after filming, but Paramount refused to sell it to him.
Do it.
Oh, fuck it. Let's get a porterhouse.
We're
Not
talking.
getting any younger, you know.
Come on, let's.
I'm headed to your office. Call me.
But here's the most shocking revelation that nobody talks about. Eddie Murphy attempted to personally purchase the Hero Nova immediately after filming Wrapped, offering Paramount Pictures $25,000 cash, But studio executives refused the sale because they planned to use the vehicle for promotional tours and potential sequels. Murphy made the offer during the wrap party, telling transportation coordinator Dennis McCarthy that he wanted to keep the Nova as a personal memento and potentially drive it around Detroit when visiting family. Paramount's legal department rejected Murphy's offer outright, classifying the Nova as studio property with ongoing promotional value that exceeded any reasonable sale price. Murphy increased his offer to $50,000 during post-production, but studio executives still refused, explaining that the car's value as a promotional asset was incalculable until they assessed the film's commercial performance. After Beverly Hills Cop became a massive hit, Murphy made one final offer of $100,000, which Paramount again rejected, now recognizing the vehicle as an irreplaceable piece of cinema history. Murphy reportedly remained frustrated about this decision for years, mentioning in interviews that owning the actual Nova would have been more meaningful to him than any award or recognition. The refusal demonstrated how studios prioritize asset control over talent relationships, even when dealing with the star who made those assets valuable, creating a decades-long regret that Murphy occasionally references when discussing his career, from a $1,500 junkyard fine to a $150,000 icon. Axel Foley's Nova proved authenticity beats luxury every time. That beat-up blue bomber became a character itself, representing everything Beverly Hills Cop stood for: real over fake, substance over style, Detroit grit over Hollywood gloss.